to Dualshock'd, the Brotherhood of Geeks PlayStation podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brett J. Rasmussen, and normally I go ahead and have my co-host Spectre, but I have a special guest with me here today. So over here, I got my other special guest.
Hey, it's Marq.
Yay! What is up, my man?
Yay!
Yay!
It's a throwback, man.
I know, man.
I haven't been on the show in quite a while, but I'm back now.
I'm so glad. We worked on projects in the past, and I think we definitely have to bring back what we just pull from the past. Maybe I'll go ahead and bring that back, which we definitely should. Me and him years ago we talked about normal video games, but we also talked about cartoons and TV shows and other stuff. So grand old time.
Grand old time, dude. Happy to be back.
I'm glad you're here, man. I'm very glad that you are here. And there is a reason that I have you here as kind of my special guest on this episode of Dualshock'd. But we will talk about that in a little bit in our main topic, our PlayStation conversation. But how have you been doing, my man? What have you been up to?
I've been good. Playing video games. I just had a newborn son.
Oh wow!
So caring for him's great. Still grinding Destiny to hit this power cap, and he likes to watch me slap in the Crucible.
Oh, that's great.
So
that's great. That's very great. I like that.
So yeah, man. Prepping to get ready for the last season of Destiny. Not Destiny, Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Street Fighter 5 is coming out. Characters are beginning to roll out, and I'm pretty pumped about that. And getting ready to play some high stakes games of Injustice 2 with some pretty cool people that I'm looking forward to and might possibly stream.
That's
so
rad.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see how the chips fall, but yeah, things are pretty exciting.
Good. I'm glad, man. Very much a lot of you very much taught me a lot of things in the fighting games, because Injustice is my favorite fighting game. Next to Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur is like, I'll play Raphael all day. But God, I love the Flash. The Flash and Injustice, just yes, please. But yeah, that's awesome.
Glad, man.
And what?
Oh, you're good.
Okay. And yeah, I've been playing Destiny 2. You and I have actually been playing a lot. Mind you and I need to go through Presage to get. I need to get Dead Man's Call, or Dead Man's Shot.
Dead Man's Tail.
Dead Man's Tail. That's it. God dang it. But yeah, I need to go ahead and get that scout rifle. And I know you already have it, but you need to go ahead and get the God roll on it. So I know I need to do that.
Yeah, gotta keep doing it. Gotta do the little seasonal quest thing to get all the data pads and the secret chests and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I gotta do that too. So, but yeah, I've been also grinding to power level, to max level, so that way I can go ahead and do Master and Grandmaster Strike to get the trophies, to then get the plat, and then I'm just playing Destiny for fun. So yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that's great. That's awesome, man. And congratulations to you for your kid. Very much, that's awesome, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So, since all that being said, shall we go ahead and begin with what we always begin with? We begin with the news. You ready for this, man?
Embrace.
Awesome. All right, let's begin with News of the Nation. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's great. All right, so let's begin. The first topic is that PlayStation Communities is now ending. So PlayStation has put out there's on their site, and of course all the sources are always in the description, so if you want to look it up, while we talk about it. That's why they are there. But PlayStation have put up on their important notices regarding PlayStation products and services. They have added another one, which is that PlayStation Communities feature will now be disabled on PS4. It states, "Thank you for using the PS Communities feature on your PS4 console. Beginning April 2021, this feature will no longer be supported or available on your PS4 console. However, you'll still be able to stay connected and enjoy messaging features and more on your PS4 and the PlayStation apps." And then there's also other things like for PS3, PSP, and Vita. If you want to buy anything on those consoles, you would have to use it on the actual device, so on and so on. So yeah, what do you think about this?
I ended up in a couple communities. I wasn't necessarily too sure how.
Mm-hmm.
And they were cool for making the occasional friend.
Mm-hmm.
But more so, makes sense. That this is sort of a thing that happens, so they can start allocating those resources to the new current gen. So I mean, I to the people that still use it, I imagine it's kind of bittersweet. But
Mm-hmm.
it was not really a giant part of the PlayStation experience, at least to me personally,
Mm-hmm.
and to a lot of other people I know who are sort of in the ecosystem and in the infrastructure. So I guess it makes sense, and we'll just see what sort of social forays Sony will make on the PS5 and going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, for me, I didn't really use communities. I thought it was a cool feature, but like, I didn't really join a lot of communities. Like, the only ones I was a part of were like trophy hunters, but like, I wasn't really a part of that. Like, I didn't really participate in them. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just one of those things. Like, oh, this is cool, but like, I never really used it. So, like, them getting rid of it or like, kind of like discontinuing or stop support, I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Um, so, and they're working on other things on the PS5. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that I'm fine with it. So let's move on. Next topic is that Jade Reymond creates Haven, which is a new indie studio that is working on a new PlayStation game. So, from the PlayStation blog, it pretty much says that introducing Haven, a new Montreal-based independent studio. So, meaning that this studio is not owned by PlayStation. PlayStation didn't buy it or made under the PlayStation Studios umbrella. They are an independent studio, but they're making a PlayStation a new IP for PlayStation. So in the blog post, Jade Reymond, this article is done by Jade Reymond, who is the CEO and founder of Haven Entertainment Studios. Um, so pretty much, she talks about how how crazy the past year has been with the pandemic and everything. And she talks about how she has worked on like her history of what games she has worked on and what she's been playing and all the kind of stuff that kind of started her like idea or this transition of her creating the studio. So she states in the article, quote, "And so today I'm announcing Haven, an independent studio where many of the talented game developers I've worked with for years and love dearly are coming together to do what we are most passionate about. It's time for us to refocus on games in a place where we can practice our crafts without any barriers or impotence or independence or words. I'm good at it. We want to create worlds where players can escape, have fun, express themselves, and find community. We want to pour our passion into a project. We want to make something wondrous for people to experience. Because we believe in the power of games to bring joy to people's lives, and Sony does too. Their commitment to excellence is unmatched. It's why I couldn't be happier for their backing and support. Together, we want to create games that are a haven for players. We want to build a studio that is a haven for developers. So while we don't have many details to announce today, I want the PlayStation community to know that Haven Studios is already hard at work at an unannounced IP. We can't wait to show you more." And then before I ask your opinions, just to kind of give you give you an idea of who Jade Reymond is. Her resume pretty much states this. So, starting in 2002, she was the producer for The Sims Online. Then in 2007, she was the producer for the original Assassin's Creed 1. And then in 2008, she worked on Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots as the managing director. And then in 2009, she was the executive producer for both Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Bloodlines, which was a PSP game. In 2013, she was also the executive producer for Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Blacklist. And then in 2014, she was also the executive producer of the original Watch Dogs 1. Also in 2014, she was the managing director for Assassin's Creed Unity. Also in 2014, she was the managing director of Far Cry 4. And then in 2015, she was the executive producer for The Mighty Quest for Epic Loot. And then in 2017, she was the SVP Group General Manager for Star Wars Battlefront 2. So that kind of gives you an idea of kind of the height, the presence that these games that she has worked on, the lineage of these games that she has worked on. So yeah, what do you think?
Well, as I sort of ponder it and sort of look through the games that are involved, I was sort of reading along in the article as you were going along with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for new IP, but it just seems I don't know necessarily what her role in the studio is going to be. It just seems like she's like a new sort of figurehead for the studio, and I would like to get a little more in the nitty gritty of like what's going on in the day to day in terms of operations. Like, you know, who are game developers that you're bringing on? You know, who are the writers you're bringing on? You know, I want to know a little more because it just sort of goes, hey, me and a bunch of people from my own old job, we made a new thing, a new studio. Everybody come and get on board. And so I'm excited for the opportunity that she gets to sort of cut her teeth and you know, throw her hat in the ring in the incredibly tough world of professional video game development.
Yeah.
But I just need to know a little bit more. Her name's been attached to some games that I enjoy.
Yeah.
But I just wonder what, you know, how her name being on in those credit sequences is going to translate into a, you know, I'd imagine for sale product.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like, for me, like, I love Assassin's Creed. Like, very much, it's one of my favorite IPs. Not so much recently, but very, like, pretty much he worked on two of the best ones from the series. The original and Assassin's Creed 2. And Assassin's Creed 2 is the one that all fans kind of put up there. It's 2 and Brotherhood. But, like, she worked on Metal Gear Solid 4, which I know you're a big Metal Gear fan. You love Metal Gear. She worked on Far Cry 4, which is really good. But she also, you know, she worked on some duds. Like, you know, she was part of Star Wars Battlefront 2, and we know of its long history. And the Unity, Assassin's Creed Unity, which was also had its problems. So, you know, there's kind of ups and downs to where the games that she has worked on.
Yeah, most definitely. And I just want to see, you know, in a way, she's kind of like a director for a Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you've done some hype stuff, you've done some not so hype stuff, but the vast majority of like what you get for a director of one of those films, someone who sort of has some wins and some losses on their record.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but has a strong sort of directorial voice. So I imagine it'll be something akin to that. But we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I agree. I very much do want to know kind of like more of like the ins and outs or like kind of what new IP she's working on. But I am excited. I very much am. Like, I look forward to seeing what will come out of this new studio. But yeah, let's move on. So, the next topic I have, speaking of Assassin's Creed, Assassin's Creed Valhalla adds a fan-requested feature, but the fans are not really happy with how it's been added. Coming from IGN, Ubisoft has added a much-requested item transmog feature in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but fans are not happy with how it's implemented. In the new update 1.2.0, which launched on the Series X, the Xbox Series, PS5, PC, and Stadia. on March 16th. They brought new skills. There's a new Stera Festival. There's a bunch of other stuff for the season, and transmogrification, which allows players to change the appearance of their gear, but it still keeps the stats under it. And there's tons of games like, as we were talking, like Destiny does this a lot. I have the same thing, like all my stats for my armor sets are like this, but I want this armor set. You can do that. But what happened is that players want to equip the best gear for their build, but this may be at a compromise of your in-game fashion, which don't you have a word for in an RPG? I know you have a specific word that you like to call being fashionable, but yet being badass.
Well, when I'm playing a Destiny, I say I'm playing Destiny.
Oh.
If I'm playing any Souls game, say I'm playing Fashion Souls.
There you go. Yeah,
Fashionborn.
Fashionborn. Yeah, that's great. I love it. That's the Fashion Souls. That was the one, because I know you talk about that all the time.
Fashion Souls, dude.
Yeah, man.
Why just play the game when you can look good doing it?
Exactly. That's what everyone wants. So pretty much fans have been requesting this feature for Valhalla, which has been present in previous Assassin's Creed games, so Origins and Odyssey, but with how Ubisoft implemented it is not as good. In Odyssey, you could transmog your gear for free and directly from the inventory menu. In Valhalla, however, you have to pay 50 silver each, which you will hand over to Gunnar in the Raventhrop, which is like the main hub for every piece that you want to alter aesthetically. So it continues. Silver is easily to come by in Valhalla early on, but if you want to alter tons of gear, you may need to sell items or participate in mini games. And apparently, in a Reddit thread, it found that players have pointed out that after looting and raiding everywhere, silver can be tough to accrue. Quote, 50 silver is not small in this game. Making money is such a struggle after you raid and loot everything. And the Reddit user who said this is Rick_the_mullet_man. To continue, quote.
What a name.
I know, right? Quote, to continue. Transmog was free in Odyssey. No reason for it to cost 50 silver each time here. Oh, this is a different one. Each time here. Adds Embor Island. I'm sorry. EMBOAR Island. I know it's a small amount, but the fact I have to consciously think about how much or often I use the feature is quite ridiculous, in my opinion. So again, there's more quotes. And then the article continues. This is back to the article. It's worth noting that you can purchase silver from the in-game store in Valhalla for real money, something that hasn't gone unnoticed by the community. Quote, this is from another Reddit user. Quote, the only reason they're doing this is because they want more people to buy silver with real money from the Helix store. Period. Disgusting. Period. Writes, Ever Advancing. The name Reddit user is Ever Advancing. So yeah. So and again, it's like it points out that Odyssey and Origins use a more convenient form of the features, along with Immortals: Phoenix Rising, which is actually that game came out, I believe, after Valhalla. And right now, the Ubisoft has not said anything about this reaction. So I know, again, you and I agree. Like, I have a very much a good build in Destiny, and I use like the ornaments in Destiny. You have ornaments for your gear to go like, I don't like, because you want to look a specific way. Like I want one whole armor set instead of like a mishmash of like these boots and this headpiece and so on and so on. I just go one armor set looks like this, but all the stats that it comes with look like that. So what are your opinions on this? That you have to, like, in order to even get it, you have to use real life money in order to transmog, like, in order to do it more easily. So what do you think?
As far as seeing the sort of bounce back and forth with how these sort of moves get made. I'm just kind of a casual passerby with them. It never really hits me too hard. Uh, but I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
We have to see how everything sort of pops, but it wasn't necessarily deep into my sphere of influence, I guess, is the sort of best play.
I mean, I think the thing is that like in past, like I know that in Destiny there's a new update that's talking about how Ada One, which was a vendor in the past, like she's going to be
Hmm.
returning that you can transmog. So like there's armor set, like if you have an armor piece that you already own, you can actually convert it into
Into
an
a universal ornament, yeah.
which you can
Mhm.
buy silver to do it, but also there's in-game currency to do it also. But they haven't. But Bungie hasn't talked about how often that currency will show up, how like if you need to do bounties or that kind of thing. So let's turn it into how like what would happen if Destiny did that? What would happen if Bungie? How would you feel like if Bungie kind of did this similar thing? Which they kind of are, but we don't have as many details as we do about Valhalla. Like, what do you think about like if it was like the only way you could do it is with silver and the bright dust? Mind you, we get tons of bright dust in the game now, but let's say in the past, like last year or the year before, where bright dust was like ridiculously hard to come by.
Mm.
What would you think if it was like in Destiny?
Well, I would not be fussed about it. There's already all the weirdness around, like, hey, shaders are like consumable unlocks. So
Mm-hmm.
I hope you unlocked 8 shaders to put on all your gear. So like
Mm-hmm.
you'll have to purchase those from our little like collections like tab
Yeah.
storefront for in-game mats that you may or may not have. So like there is kind of some sort of connectivity in the weirdness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this is on the whole one of those things where like players will go, I hate this.
Mm-hmm.
And it will begin to impact the game's bottom line, and it'll probably be, walked back and corrected at some point in the future.
Yeah.
If people really respond volatilely to it. So once again, I just sort of have to see, like I know that Assassin's Creed can mean a lot to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And giving players more freedom is not often a bad idea in my book.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, uh, we'll just have to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Next topic is that this past week we had a PlayStation Indie Showcase. So coming from the PlayStation blog from Shuhei Yoshida, she pretty much Shuhei Yoshida pretty much says, "Hey everyone, one of our best parts is working with indie game developers," and he announces these, I believe it's 7 different indie games for this. So we have these are the 7 different games, and again, the link to this PlayStation blog is in the description. So and also inside of the blog post, it has links to each of the different games. So if you want to know more about them, we're not going to go deep into detail about these, but if you are interested, please go into the link that's in the description under sources, and then go from there. But we have 7 different games. So we have world building for asymmetrical spy co-op in the game called Operation Tango. The world is your canvas in Chikori, A Colorful Tale. I might have said it wrong. That game is coming to PS4 and PS5 this coming spring. Nor Play with Your Food with Sous Chef, an interactive soundtrack. A surreal narrative adventure, Where the Heart Leads. That's the name of the game. Where the Heart Leads hits PS4 and PS5 on July 13th. Puzzling
Yeah.
Places, The 3D Jigsaw puzzle that's coming to PSVR, so you can play a puzzle game in PSVR. That's really cool. New Heavenly Bodies gameplay, which is a gameplay trailer that reveals 2 challenging scenarios, and how to become a superstar detective in Disco Elysium: the final cut, which is out March 30th. Disco Elysium was, I believe, nominated for the Game Awards. I think it was either last year or the year before. So now it's
superlative piece of RPG.
Yeah, so
incredible.
That's actually really cool. And the final cut, which I believe like it's any and all DLC updated, all that kind of good stuff, which that is awesome. Like again, that's the one thing I love about PlayStation is that PlayStation, and even like Xbox too. I'm not going to go ahead and like, because Xbox also has like during their Inside Xbox, they talk about their indie studios that they're partnering with or working with. So I very much am glad that a lot of indie developers are getting more shine, since like 2013.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like seeing these sort of companies expand outward is always an entertaining thing to sort of like watch, because everything is like, nothing I feel is like a standalone step. Everything I feel is like a move towards something,
Mm-hmm.
And seeing this sort of big commitment to like, we're gonna have a show and it's just for our indie game, like it's weird. You're kind of like a Schrodinger's cat scenario. Like you're excited about the new project you're working on, but also like we have to find out, what is the sort of long game? Are they going to say, hey, we don't necessarily need to have an indie showcase at our PlayStation, future events because we did it here, or we can cut that out of like if we do another like E3 style presentation or that. There's sort of I'm wondering what the sort of play is, but I'm happy that more indie games are getting made.
I actually just had this thought literally right now, and you know how like did you watch the most recent State of Play, or like kind of did you watch the most recent State of Play? I'm curious.
Yes. Yeah, I did.
So I know that throughout that State of Play, we got like a good number of indie games, but we also got some AAA games and stuff. Like we've had different State of Plays where it's kind of been more indie focused or whatever. And I remember if you kind of like look at the internet, whether on Twitter or in the YouTube comments, where it's like this was boring, this meant nothing, this didn't have this, and it's because there were more indie games in it. Like, I remember, like, Ken of Bridge of Spirits is more of an indie game. Mind you, I'm stupid. I'm really excited for that game. But, like...
that's pretty pretty.
But there's, like, a good number of indie games that people are like, I don't care about this. Where's God of War? Where's Marvel Spider-Man 2? Where's, blah, blah, blah. Horizon Forbidden West or whatever. What do you think about because I believe they should be putting those indie games on State of Play to showcase them. What is your opinion of other people's opinion that they just go, like, why is this here? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say. I think it's more of a statement on the sort of hype cycle that video games as an industry needs to run on. It's the fuel that propels it, and anything that doesn't feed that feels like the engine of the car is stalling, if I can make it better.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, I'm here for the big titles, because games are pretty expensive. So like you gotta like, you can't just go around spending $60 or $70 or $120 or even more than that in some cases on every single video game. So you kind of want to stick to the ones are going to be good or going to be right up your alley. And so anything that isn't that can kind of feel like it's getting in the way of the stuff you actually want to see because you have to go through. I still think that game dev is remarkably difficult.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And so everyone deserves a shot to be able to get out on stage and and strut their stuff, especially if you're, ending up on Sony's platform. That's no small feat. So I'm I don't necessarily watch too many of the events and sort of say, hey, what's happening specifically in this microcosm? More so, I'm like going, hey, what is this going to be parlayed into? Like how are Sony's shows going to work now that we've sort of gotten what would be the boring, like, well, quote unquote, finger quotes, boring middle section of like any given PlayStation press conference. We've done it out of the way now. Let's just get to the stuff that people are going to really bite down on, and have that hype cycle pushing them forward into the release, and inevitably into the next fancy video game that happens. So happy to see indies getting like the stage completely to themselves. That feels good, feels fair. I just want to find out like what Sony's bigger sort of plan is with giving the indie show its own like floor time. Are they upping the amount of games that are being made, upping the amount of money that's being sent into these independent studios so they can make something more better with greater resources? There's a lot of questions sort of arise. So I found myself pondering those a lot more than ponder, what's immediately in front of me. Like, hey, these games are here.
Yeah.
Don't you want to play them? So now it's kind of like when you grow up doing something you really enjoy, and then all of a sudden you find out like you get a job doing that thing, and it sort of changes how you perceive,
Yeah.
the content. Like I did professional illustration for a while. I still do, and so whenever I see like illustrated work, I don't. It takes me a minute for my brain to sort of switch and go, hey, I'm viewing this from the standpoint of like like a view, like a passer, like a civilian, and not someone who's making it. So
Yeah.
that level of work can impact how you engage with the content. So I'm just sort of interested in finding out like what, as someone who's sort of sitting in a unique position, and with other people who are sitting in those unique positions, like what are they trying to turn this indie show into, and then how will it fit in the grand scheme of Sony pushing forward with a lot of their other initiatives, if that makes sense. I know I kind of rambled a little bit.
No, please. No, I wanted your opinion, and I very much understand. I understand what you mean by that. They're doing the showcase, and yes, it's awesome that they're showing it off. But then I can also kind of see where you're like, all right, where could this be leading to? I understand that as more. I very much do believe that the reason why it's just very much like we're going to show off the indie games, because there is that kind of subsect who doesn't like the AAA games, or for whatever reason they like play indie games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really good too. And I also do believe that I guess I'm in the minority where like when I watched the state of play where like they were showing like the different indie games, I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's really cool. I don't know if I'm gonna buy them because there's only so many games I can play and money I can
Yeah.
spend, but those games should still be showcased next to games like Final Fantasy VII Remake, like Last of Us Part 2, like God of War Ragnarok, like the big AAA, like the reason you're here, so on and so on. So yeah, let's move on.
Yeah.
Next
Absolutely.
up, Next topic is that we have another update for the Play at Home initiative for this year. So Play at Home started last year, pretty much when the pandemic happened. And what happened is that PlayStation was like, all right, well, everyone's stuck in their houses. We're going to give you these 3 free games. I think it was, you got the Uncharted Collection, you got the Journey Complete Edition, or Journey Collector's Edition, and then I believe it was like one other game. I can't really remember. Maybe it was those 2. I can't remember. But then this year, so this past month, so this month in March, we you can download still right now, as of time of recording. You can download the Ratchet and Clank 2016 PS4 game. You can just buy it, download. You don't need PlayStation Plus. You don't need anything. It's just there for free. You can add it to your library, and you own it. It's yours. But now, from this post, they are adding 10 free games to the Play at Home initiative. And it goes kind of hand in hand with the Indie Showcase that we just talked about. Let's see. Yep. So the program started off with 2016's Ratchet and Clank on PS4. You can still claim it up until March 31st of 2021. And then starting on March 25th, we have, these are all the games that you can add to your library that you get for free regardless. So you get Abzu, Enter the Gungeon, Res Infinite, Subnautica, The Witness, Astrobot Rescue Mission, Moss, Thumper, and Paper Beast. And that's 9. And the reason that's the case is that starting April 19th, the 10th game that you get for free is Horizon Zero Dawn, the Complete Edition. So that's all the DLC. That is everything. All the pre-order bonuses, everything is in that free version.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. So April 19th is when you can get Horizon Zero Dawn. And that'll be available to download between April 19th and May 14th. And then it gives you the specific times. And again, the links are in the description. And then the other indie games, those are going to be available from March 25th to April 22nd. So just out of the indie games, like, for me, like, Enter the Gungeon's really good. Res Infinite is such a, it's like a shooting sounds action game. Oh, that game is so much fun. The Witness is such a fun puzzle game. Oh my god. Astrobot Rescue Mission, great VR game. Moss is, I think, the best one out of all of them for like the VR.
Yeah. It's definitely it definitely has the unique sort of look to it. Moss. Yeah.
And then just to go along with it, not only do you get these 10 games, that's the big part, but also they have a partnership with Funimation / Wakanim. I might have said it wrong. But also in participating countries, we're also offering to extend the trial of Funimation, or Wakanim, depending on the region, a joint venture of Sony Pictures Entertainment and Aniplex of Japan. The anime-focused subscription service includes shows as My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, and Fruits Basket. The extended trial offer kicks off on March 25th and is available through April 22nd. So it's like a free trial. It's on top of the standard 14-day trial. New users can add an additional 3 months. So if you're a new user, you normally get the 2 weeks, but now it's 3 months because of the Play at Home initiative. So what do you think of this?
Well, I think that it's a cool move on Sony's part. Still got a lot. What does it say when you're giving away a lot of these games for free? And it's still like, is it like Game Pass though? Like, just in terms of the breadth of titles offered, there's a lot of really great, fun titles that are being offered, just given for free. And granted, the context is a bit different. They're not necessarily trying to turn this into like any sort of secondary storefront.
No, it's fine.
They're just like putting these things out in the face of rather extraordinary circumstances. But I think that offering players the ability to watch their, you know, to watch their indie sort of games, or whatever, like not necessarily huge like AAA titles. That is until Horizon hits.
Mm-hmm.
After I'm sure an acceptable amount of time to make sure that no more blood can get squeezed from that rock before we put it out for free for the masses. Uh, but I I'm pumped to play it. Lord knows this is the societal arena for sitting down and playing video games. So
Yeah.
anything that helps good games get in the hands of bored players, or
Yeah.
enthusiastic players.
I agree.
That is always helpful.
Yeah, and like I've been very much seeing there's been a lot of discussions about the value of Game Pass. We've talked about this on me and Spectre have talked about this on Dualshock'd. And there is a ton of value that Game Pass has, and PlayStation Now has been around much longer than Game Pass has, and I'm kind of part of me is kind of surprised, and I think that's because of branding. But like PlayStation has picked up some tactics from Xbox about PlayStation Now is $10 per month, just like Game Pass is, and you get access to a library of games. But I think just the messaging and the branding of Now hasn't been well received. So people are talking about Xbox Game Pass, which is over here, with PlayStation Now, and I think that's definitely something we would definitely want to talk more about. I would love to have you on and talk about that too. But yeah, no,
Oh yeah,
I go ahead, go ahead.
go for it.
But yeah, no,
I
I
was
mean,
just saying we'll see how the cookie crumbles.
yeah, most definitely. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
so, but yeah, so we got those 10 games. They're great. That's awesome. I very
Yeah,
much look forward to
absolutely.
playing Paper Beast. That's a digital only game because I do have Own Moss, and a few others. But I've played Platinum Horizon Zero Dawn. But I'm very glad that there's a
Yeah,
complete edition for that. But let's move on.
yeah.
Uh, Not only do we have 10 free games coming out in the spring, PlayStation also has revealed the new controllers for the PSVR for the PS5. In the blog post, and Mark, I went ahead and I shared the picture to you. If you want to go ahead and look at the pretty much what I have sent over to you on here.
Mm-hmm.
I have screen shared it to you. So the controllers, pretty much they look like the Oculus Rift controllers. So pretty much it's a dome. It's it's a cone, and it wraps around your hand like this, and you hold it like this. It's almost like a trigger, and you have the analog sticks right here. And it looks so cool. So in the article, it states, following the recent reveal of our next-gen VR system for the PS5, I'm excited to unveil more details about the new controller that will play a critical role in providing gamers with the VR experience that we're working on to deliver. Our new controller speaks to our mission of achieving a much deeper sense of presence and stronger feeling of immersion in VR experiences. It will build upon the innovation that we introduced with the DualSense controller, which changed how games feel on PS5 by unlocking a new way to tap into the sense of touch. Now we're bringing that innovation to VR. So you have the design. It looks so nice. So they have the unique design, which has an orb shape to it. They have put design with great ergonomics in mind, with well balancing and comfortable hold in each of the hands, which I do agree because the Move controllers they're fine. They do what they need to do, but
Yeah, yeah, they're fine. I mean, I know that VR is like one of those things where like it initially it was a gimmick and then all of a sudden it turned into a thing that we really have to consider for and are really looking to invest in over the long haul.
mhm.
So anything that sort of pushes that technology to at least get some parity, that's the sort of main reason that I don't really play more VR games personally.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't like. I feel like if this were on rails, you get that a lot of on rails storytelling and action sort of moment to moment gameplay. So seeing some innovation in that field and making it more responsive and allowing for players to have better control over what's happening in VR and
Mm-hmm.
not watching someone's disembodied arm spaz through space time because uh, the player got a drink of water or something.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
anything that sort of helps that process and creates technological advancement within the gaming sphere for uh, you know, people utilizing the service. You know, I think we'll just have to see. You know, I know. There's a lot of we have to see,
Yeah.
we have to find out. Time will tell us.
Mm-hmm.
But
But I think
I feel VR has already made gigantic strides. So I'm interested in finding out what it's going to look like. I would like to eventually be able to own a headset instead of having to go over and play a bunch of other people's headsets all the time. But
yeah. I mean,
yeah, I'm game to see it.
I mean, like I will definitely say I agree with you. Like VR has definitely kind of changed. I mean, and I will definitely say I don't like. It's been a long time. I barely touch my VR, and I own a PSVR on the PS4. Because I think we're
Yeah,
very much like indoctrinated to be like, I grab a controller, I press the PS button, and go, and that's it. Like we're so used to just grabbing the controller and going. Um,
yeah.
but what I did, like, I love the PSVR still, with it being so affordable. It's only like $300, which is very affordable. But the quality of it is still very up to date. It's not like crappy. It's very much what I expect and more. And like the reason why I love PSVR is that it's built for games, and there have been some great PSVR games on there.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel's Iron Man VR, Blood and Truth,
True.
Farpoint, even Until Dawn. There's the Until Dawn VR game. That was a non-rail shooter, but that game was really fun too. Moss, we just talked about. Um,
Yeah.
there's so many good VR games, and I very much look forward to how this is. Just some features that it has. It has adaptive triggers, just like the DualSense does. Haptic feedback, finger touch detection, so the controller can detect your fingers without any pressing of the areas where you place your thumb or whatever. So apparently on
Yeah.
the grip, it can sense it. There's tracking, better tracking, and then it has action buttons with analog sticks. Like it's great. This is a great controller. This is very much
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
better step and a step forward for this.
Yeah. Yeah. Most
Um,
definitely. And I like to give a little shout out for whoever is the designing the Sony suite moving into this console generation. Because boy howdy, were there a lot of risks taken by going, I'm going to give you this weird thing and ask you play video games with it. You know? So uh I think that that sort of bravery in the face of so much untested technology is commendable. So props to Sony for that. Uh, Shout out to wacky these wacky looking controllers, man. It's like
uh,
it looks like something you would use to pilot a ship in Tron.
yeah, yeah. So I believe I could be wrong, but like the article comes from, I might botch this name, so I apologize. But so this article comes from Hideki Nishino, who is the senior vice president of platform planning and management. So he kind of like oversees, like he's a
Yeah,
platform, and he's kind of the like kind of he also talks to his head designer. So it's the SIE product engineering and design teams who have collaborated to build this controller from the ground up with the goal of making a
yeah,
huge leap from current gen to next gen. So very well
yeah.
done. I love this thing. But let's move on. So we
Yep.
have a bit of controversy, scandal. Mind you,
Ooh.
it's mind you, it's Activision. Oh boy, let's go ahead and talk crap about Activision right now. So
Hell.
Activision Activision
I
has.
hope you guys don't mind losing your jobs while I get paid a bunch.
Yeah. So, yep. So, Activision Blizzard reports new layoffs, and CEO reportedly is set to pocket enormous bonus payout. There is a ton that is going into this. But I'm going to go ahead and just break this down. Jason Schreier on Twitter, who now works for Bloomberg, used to be with, I believe, Kotaku.
Kotaku.
Yep. So on Jason Schreier's Twitter, and again, all the sources are in the description, but on his Twitter, there's a long thread, so I'm going to go over. So here we go. Just filed a Bloomberg terminal. Blizzard is laying off 50 people today in its live events departments as it plans a strategy shift post-pandemic. This news arrives a month after Activision Blizzard once again announced record revenues and up dividends to shareholders. Quote, players are increasingly choosing to connect with our games digitally, and the esports team has had to adapt its business due to the impact the pandemic has had on our lives. And Activision, end quote, an Activision Blizzard spokesman tells Bloomberg. And the link to the article is there also. Continuing the thread, it wasn't just esports and live events. Activision Blizzard has also laid off others across the company, including at King, which is the developer of Candy Crush. Sources tell Bloomberg. An Activision spokesperson confirmed but did not say how many other people were laid off. And then you have multiple articles you have like the Bloomberg and stuff. So I'm going to come back to the IGN article because it kind of does a really good kind of breakdown of everything. So pretty much what is stated is that Activision has reportedly laid off nearly 190 employees, including 50 employees within the company's esports division. So of the 190, I believe, we're reading, of the 190, 50 of them are esports. Bloomberg reports that the layoffs affected less than 2% of the company's employees, 2%, which translates roughly to the 190. 50 of those employees were at esports division. U.S. workers laid off. So here's the thing. So the U.S. workers who were laid off will receive a minimum of 90 days severance and health benefits for up to a year, according to Bloomberg. And each employee that was laid off was given $200 in gift cards to Battle.net, which is the company's online video game storefront. Sports Business Journal reports that Activision's executive Tony Petitti said that the 50 esports-specific layoffs were a result of the company's attempt at reinventing its esports division amidst the global pandemic. Petitti told Sports Business Journal that the company is planning for a future where Activision esports looks different and are less dependent on live events. Activision said employees laid off received, quote, proper severance packages, according to Sports Business Journal, and that despite the company's shift in esports focus, which heavily centers on the Overwatch League and Call of Duty League, it doesn't plan to move completely away from live events. Both leagues shifted from live in-person to events to online only, and Sports Business Journal also reports that it's possible Activision could continue going down this route in the future. Petitti said the layoffs are partly because of the need to reduce costs, and another part a means to free up resources to allocate to other areas of the company. But it's important to note that he was speaking to Sports Business Journal about the 50 esports layoffs. Petitti did not speak to Sports Business Journal about the other layoffs that Bloomberg reported to that has happened. He said the company, quote, learned a lot last year in terms of how leagues can be structured for online play, and that it will look to carry forward the best practices from that. And then it continues from there. An Activision spokesperson told Bloomberg that, quote, players are increasingly choosing to connect with our games digitally, and the esports team, much like traditional sports, entertainment, and broadcasting industries, has had to adapt to its business due to the impact that the pandemic has. So that was the original article. Now, it has been updated since March 19th. So continuing, as laid out in Kodak's 2016 contract, the potentially massive bonus that he's set to receive is technically unrelated to the current layoffs. It instead was laid out 5 years ago in an additional incentive to, quote, create shareholder value, with Kodak potentially receiving the highest possible amount if Activision Blizzard's stock price remains above a certain threshold for 90 consecutive days. CTW notes this clause was triggered on March 1st, and per Codec's 2016 contract, a committee will need to review the compensation to determine whether or not he gets the full amount. However, much Kotick is awarded, he will not receive it until June 29th of 2021. Another update is that in the wake of the layoffs of Activision Blizzard affecting these people, it's been reported that Bobby Kotick will be set to pocket a payout of $200 million US based on a stock-related incentive clause in his employment contract. According to Kotaku, union-sponsored pension fund advocacy organization CTW Investment Group has claimed Activision's currently soaring stock price, which has climbed throughout the pandemic, and that's every video game publisher out there, will see Kotick benefit from the shareholder value creative incentive clause of Codec's 2016 employment agreement. The payout would allow Kotick to collect incentive bonuses that he missed in previous years. The CTW alleged that this windfall would total up to $200 million US. And according to the firm's website, that CTW Investment Group seeks to hold, quote, directors accountable for irresponsible and unethical corporate behavior and excessive executive pay. Whew, that's a lot of words, but I had to go over that so that way we kind of have a good breakdown of kind of what's been happening. And there's multiple, like all the different articles and stuff that was documented about this are all in the source in the description. So, Mark, with all that being said, what do you think?
Give me the last little bit, run back, and I'll give you.
Sure.
I'll give you the hot take.
Sure. Mm-hmm. So pretty much a quick breakdown is that Bobby Kotick, who is the CEO, he's going to receive $200 million because of a loophole, pretty much because of when he got hired in 2016. There's a pretty much part of the contract. He will receive $200 million based on a stock-related incentive clause in his employment contract. And because of how the pandemic has made video games just sales skyrocket, regardless of how well he did as an employer, as the CEO, he's going to receive this $200 million. Kotaku has talked about how, Kotick will see benefit from this. That was the last part that I was talking about.
That's part of like how a lot of corporate sort of contracts will get made. It feels bad, man. Pretty safe to say, especially like sort of in concert with firings. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan. I understand that's how the business sort of gets done, and that otherwise usual business was suddenly, exasperated and multiplied to a weird degree due to the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But still is not a great look. You just kind of come off looking like you're like it's all a cash grab all the time before you're worried about what games you're sort of making. And we get it. People who are in those sort of executive seats don't necessarily have to care about the state of the games that you're releasing,
mm-hmm.
or the people that make them. But still, like there's sort of an optics game that has to get played when you're moving in those sort of ways. And this was not the best optics play for everything considered.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I will kind of use an analogy based upon wrestling. So 190 employees are getting laid off. That's 2% of their workforce. And that's 190 people that didn't need to get laid off. And yes, they're shifting their focus kind of from, instead of live events, to esports, online, along with other things, and so they laid them off. Now, I will definitely say, the one good thing I will definitely say is that they did get severance pay. They got health care for up to a year. So I'm glad it's not just like, all right, you're gone. And I very much want to make sure that is being stated, because I want to make sure that everything is out there in the open. So that is a good thing that they have that. Is it good that they got fired? Of course not. But the reason I want to bring up another example in regard to wrestling. So WWE, who is the biggest wrestling company out there. Everyone knows who WWE is. Back in, I believe, April of last year, there was this day called a Black Wednesday, where pretty much WWE got rid of, like, I think it was they fired or laid off, I believe it was like 20 to 40% of their workforce, including wrestlers. Like, they just were ending your contract with wrestlers, and there was a good number of them. Like Rusev, who was part of WWE, he's now gone to All Elite Wrestling, who as Miro. The Good Brothers, who were in WWE, have now also gone to Impact. Impact Wrestling, who are also on AEW, so on and so on. There's a multitude of different wrestlers that, because they got laid off and stuff, where AEW, All Elite Wrestling, who is a brand new company, does not, like, it is owned by a billionaire, Tony Khan, and the Khan family, but they don't have the kind of money that, they're not making the kind of money as AEW the company, not the Khan family, but AEW the company is not making the same amount of money as WWE and the McMahons are. Vince McMahon let go of that percentage of wrestlers, along with laying off or all. It wasn't just wrestlers; it was also like back office people and so on, and let them go. Where AEW kept all of their wrestlers. Actually, they were hiring more wrestlers and hiring more people backstage and everything during the pandemic, when it was at its height, where like money was tight. And then come to find out, when they did the laying off and the firings, WWE has made more money than they ever had in the history of the company, which is ridiculous. So the reason I bring that up is it's kind of the same way. Activision is making more money than they can possibly fathom with
hand over fist.
Exactly, with the microtransactions, with Call of Duty, and now with Blizzard and everything like that. It's so, they didn't need to do that. Fine, they need to go ahead and make it more cost efficient, but like, why not just shift them into other parts or utilize them in different places? Now they are let go, and now they kind of have to figure it out, and it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that these people have been laid off. Yeah, it's a company.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Oh, keep going, man. You're in your bag right now.
But like, it's just ridiculous. Like, to me, reading this is just it's because I also follow wrestling news. It feels very similar to that day when I heard all of the different wrestlers who I am a fan of and I follow, and they went, well, you're gone and you're gone, and mind you, I was like, why did you do that? But then another part of me was like, well, you weren't utilized well in WWE. Go off and be amazing in another company, which they did. But
yeah, that's sort of the best thing I can hope for with the 190 people that are getting laid off. Like, hey, I hope you guys go somewhere and really knock it out wherever you end up. Hopefully they can continue to sort of to keep rolling with the wrestling metaphor, that you can find your own AEWs wherever you may go. But it definitely is pretty infuriating to see companies that are more than capable of sustaining and helping people, especially while we're not, like, things haven't returned to normal yet. So any sort of destabilization that you introduce into people's lives, severance pay or not, is still a big deal. So I think that it's definitely not something they wanted to be plastered all over the internet the way it is. And my heart goes out to people who lost their jobs in the hopes that they land somewhere they really enjoy, doing something cool, instead of being asked to make Activision stuff.
More Call of Duty, please. More Overwatch. All you do is make Call of Duty and Overwatch. No, so yeah, that's just let's move on. Next
on the happier things, maybe.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I'll see your opinion. Next topic is that Square Enix did their own digital event, kind of like their own State of Play, a Nintendo Direct, Inside Xbox, so on and so on, called Square Enix Presents. It was this past week, and pretty much we got a bunch of announcements from it. So kind of going through it, I'm just gonna do a quick breakdown of what is kind of was shown on it. So you have like different things like new content coming to Duho, Spell Bubble, Darius Cosmic Revelation, which is coming to PS4 and Switch later this year. Bubble 4 Friends, The Baron is Back is coming to Steam. They showed off Balan Wonderworld, which actually looks like a really fun platformer. Which is a new game coming from the creator of Sonic.
I've been following it very intently.
Oh yeah, like
I'm very excited about it.
That game looks so fun. That game looks so much fun. There is a new AR Space Invaders mobile game that is being worked on. The trailer kind of like was I was like, oh, what is this? So that's really cool. A new Hitman game. So it's right now unnamed, but it's called Project Hitman Sniper Assassins. It's a new mobile game that is being set in the Hitman universe and will tell original story and feature new assassins. It'll be coming sometime later to iOS and Android later this year. There is a Just Cause mobile trailer, so again, gotta show off the mobile market, which.
Oh yeah, mobile market.
This I'm actually kind of pretty excited for. Is that they announced because it's the 25th anniversary of Tomb Raider, they have announced that there's going to be a Tomb Raider Definitive Survivor trilogy, which is pretty much the complete editions of the new reboot. So Tomb Raider 2016, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, all in one set. Furthermore, the Croft Manor will be arriving in Fortnite Creative Mode, along with pretty much if you saw the new Fortnite trailer, like there's a new season, Fortnite Primal, that's the new season. Lara Croft is a character that you can buy, get, whatever in Fortnite. So because of that, she's in Fortnite now. I played Fortnite for a little bit. Wasn't a fan of it. I only played it so I could buy Kratos because that was the only character I wanted to play as. Played it for like a quick second. Played one match and I'm like, yep, not for me. I'm out. I'm gonna go back to Destiny. If I want to play a shooter, I'll play Destiny.
Shout out to whatever contract lawyer is capable of getting all of these characters in one game.
Yo, I know, right? Like, holy crap. Jesus, like not like oh my god. Apparently there maybe
everyone is in Fortnite.
Apparently maybe like The Rock is going to be in it, like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, or like Rock the Dwayne Johnson, like he's going to be in it. Like what? Isn't that a thing? Like right now that's not official, but like what?
Yeah. Who like one, like is the money that great? Like is the publicity so good that you're just like, nah man, we gotta put you in Fortnite.
But continuing from Square Enix Presents. Oh no, go on.
Mm-hmm. No, you're good, man.
Okay. So we got new gameplay for Outriders, which looks like another Destiny-like game. This is Square Enix going, okay, we messed up with this one. We messed up with Avengers. Let's try this. And I believe this is from Menu Fly, or the developers behind the original Gears games, I believe. So there's that.
You definitely see a lot of Gears in the DNA of it.
Yeah.
I know the beta was up. I think the beta is still up, where you can like grind out stuff, and then you can keep your you keep your level in the final release of the game from playing the beta.
Mm-hmm. And then we had two final bits. We had three like big final bits. The biggest part of this presents is that we got a big, huge Marvel's Avengers section, which we needed because we have a lot of problems with that game. Yeah. So they have given out a preview of the 2021 roadmap, along with announcing.
Mm-hmm.
So when they did it, which was March 18th, that was the same day that Avengers is on the PS5. Excuse me, I was something in my eye. That's when the PS5 update happened, and me and Spectre talked about how Marvel or like Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics are adding 2 to 5 hours of grind to the gameplay, which is that's just maybe that's why my eyes are just bothering me, is just how frustrated I am at this stupid game. Like man. Why? But
it's weird because I follow a lot of journalists and people that sort of like play it, because I don't play it anymore. I was really into it, because I really like comic books and I like video games about comic books.
Of course.
So like I was whole hog into it, and so I still follow, people who talk about it, and they say that you don't really feel that extension to the grind too much, but like just the fact that that's how you decided to word it when you put it out for the people, like it's like, what did you expect the people to say? Like this game's already on a really tough footing. Yeah. This was the main reason. This and Outriders were the main reason I even paid attention to the whole Square Enix is doing an event deal, because I wanted to find out what was going to happen. Is this game going to have what Forsaken was for Destiny? Like, hey, look, this is a big, new expansion reset.
Yeah. Square Enix needs to stick with this game. They need to stick with this game. They cannot drop it like how EA dropped Anthem. They pretty much gave up and went, yeah, no, Anthem, bye. Go, BioWare, go work on Mass Effect and Dragon Age, which good, I'm glad, because Mass Effect Legendary Edition looks great, and I'm excited for the new Dragon Age, and I'm glad to hear that the new Dragon Age is not going to be multiplayer, like a live service game. It's going to be a single player game, so that's good.
Yo, I am perfectly okay with Anthem melting, so that way Dragon Age can be saved.
Oh, I agree. I'm so glad. I am okay with Anthem dying for the sins, so that way Dragon Age can be a single player game. But I will definitely say, so Hawkeye is now the next playable character. So we have Kate Bishop and now Hawkeye. So now we have actual Hawkeye, not lady version Hawkeye.
They're both Hawkeyes, but like, why put out I don't want to parrot another point that I had heard online too much, because I want to contribute my own sort of thoughts to things. But Paul Tassi, incredible journalist, covering a lot of these sort of live service games. It was like, yeah, this would have worked a lot better. Oh, you do my Paul Tassi voice. Yeah, this would have worked better if they put out both these characters in the initial time window, where it's supposed to be a week apart and really early into the life cycle of the game.
Yeah.
These characters, this type of stuff and these sort of release schedules for these characters, you can't have them be so long, far apart, because it creates this sort of, instead of it feeling like you're turning on a faucet and characters are falling out of the faucet, it makes it seem like each one is a big event. And when they weren't necessarily developed to be big events, it makes it not as it kind of makes you feel like you're let down.
Yeah.
Because you waited so long to get something that you weren't supposed to wait that long for. It just makes you feel like, oh, that was it? When you were supposed to be knocking these out rapid fire left and right.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, and I played the game, and I think I talked about this game during our top 10 best and worst games on Dualshock'd, and I love the campaign. I think the campaign is great. When it's good, it's good. But God, the game falls off a cliff once you finish the campaign. I just don't care.
It's definitely a tale of two games, man.
My God, this shit.
Boy, that story is something fun.
It's exactly what I want for a superhero story to be. You know,
Mm-hmm.
sort of light, airy, easy to bounce through. Like at Avengers, you know, it's got to be like this big thing that as many different people can engage with at one point as possible. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like they sort of landed that, but there's just no real to take the live service version of. And so many
Be-
baffling choices get made.
yeah, because they turned it
And
into a live service game, it takes away from what could have been a fantastic, like, the new version of Ultimate Alliance.
and like me personally, I don't even think we needed a new version of Ultimate Alliance. I would have happily taken more Ultimate Alliance.
I know, right? Um,
Happily.
so we got that. We got a new roadmap. There's a new campaign. They've added
Mhm.
cloning labs, new gear, new cap level, the Tachyon Anomaly event, a replay for the reassemble campaign. So now it's new game plus for the campaign. So that's pretty cool.
Ooh. Like
I will gladly do
this is
that.
I, this is one thing I really want to say because we can go through like the itemized sort of like list of all the stuff that's there,
Hmm.
but the main thing I really, really want to push is developer transparency. And I don't think it really has too much to do with specifically just Squeenix and Marvel's Adventures. I think that this is a lesson that can be learned across the entire development sphere, especially as we're in unprecedented times, you know, with pandemic and such. But like
CD Projekt Red,
talk talk to your players.
yeah,
Talk to the people.
like
Let
CD.
us.
Go on, go on.
Mhm.
Like it's
Yeah,
this it's
it's
the
in.
example of CD Projekt Red of what happened with Cyberpunk. Like they weren't
Yeah.
as upfront, and it kills me. Like actually, I'm gonna mention someone on the internet too, but Matt McMuscles, who does What Happened, fantastic
Yeah,
video
yeah, man.
series. He just put up
Hmm.
one about Cyberpunk, and he does a fantastic breakdown of what happened to Cyberpunk, and it's how it's a tale of warning to how hype destroyed this game and how the higher ups didn't know what was happening. The one difference between the higher ups at CD Projekt Red and other companies is that the higher ups at CD Projekt Red said, we messed up. And I believe that they're very much going like, we're only working on this game. We're going to fix this game. And I very much do want to play Cyberpunk, but my God, that game is a broken piece of mess.
Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely waiting. I'm glad I waited.
Yeah. Um. So to
But
continue,
if I can finish my point
yeah.
real
Go ahead.
fast,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
really quickly.
Yeah.
Um, like we are in an age now where between the internet and our own level of knowledge with the media we engage in,
Mm-hmm.
like your consumer is really, really, really smart and capable of summoning a lot of knowledge about this thing that they enjoy as a hobby.
Yeah.
So now the sort of idea where it's like you don't let anyone find out how the sausage is made. It's kind of counterintuitive because we'll get it, like we'll understand if you
Mm-hmm.
just step out in front of and like talk to us. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Like, and just that sort of staunch refusal to do so is only going to deal more damage than help the sort of PR spin of virtually every game going forward.
Yeah, I agree. And I
So
think,
just like,
and that's the same thing. I think with
mhm,
any piece of media, that's also like in wrestling. Like hearing that, I'm like, oh yeah, that should like in wrestling too. So
most definitely.
yeah. Just to finish this up, not only do we have that, we have the announcement of the Black Panther expansion, the War for Wakanda, which is
Yeah.
coming out later this year. Which
Oh,
yes, I'm excited for
I'm
Black
so
Panther.
I'm so glad they didn't use that like armor screenshot that got leaked a while ago, where it was just like, oh, that doesn't look like Black Panther at all. But like, man, seeing him with a suit and like seeing Wakanda, it like gave me that sort of like sense of excitement that the initial games like started to deliver to me.
Mm-hmm.
But like then
like rapidly left behind. So like
Yeah.
I want to see big, crazy, colorful, sweeping Marvel locations. I want to see, you know, superheroes at their coolest. You know, like it's a rule of cool kind of. And I feel like sometimes Square Enix, you know, Squeenix can be squeamish about like letting things just be cool. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to see that. I really hope that it is a big shot in the arm for the game because I want to play it. You know, I have a Hulk that I've leveled up pretty much well all the way up to like level 150. That was the cap at the time I stopped playing it. And then I was just like, this isn't really hitting for me, and I can't matchmaking anything. I think I'm done. I think I'm gonna leave, and I end up just deleting it off of my PlayStation.
Yeah.
So like now I gotta sit there and like really ponder, like, do I want to use up the gigs to put this back on?
Yeah. No, I agree.
On the promises.
Yeah. One last note is that the Spider-Man, who is the Sony exclusive, he is still being worked on, but he will not be released until after Black Panther. He's not coming out before Black Panther. So I wanted to put that out there. And then few more things. We got a new Life is Strange game called Life is Strange True Colors, which is being developed by a new developer. It's not by Don't Nod. It is being done by. Let me go ahead and quickly pull this up. Well, while it's being pulled up, we're also getting a Life is Strange remastered collection, which is coming to next gen and current, which is pretty much the studio who's doing this is Deck 9, who did Before the Storm. So that's cool. So because Don't Nod is now owned by Microsoft, so Life is Strange is still, the IP is still owned by Square Enix. That's being there. And then we have a new IP coming out called, I believe it's called Forspoken. It was called Project Athea, which is now called Forspoken, which looks...
Forspoken.
Yep. That's
Western isekai?
Yeah, I think so.
You know, kind of. Okay. Okay, I'm a regular person now. I'm in a fantasy world, like.
Yeah.
Like I said, I am Mr. New IP, bro. You show me something I have never seen before. You show me something that doesn't have a number on the back end of it. I am all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I agree.
I'm interested in seeing it. You know, it looks really pretty, and I'll just. It's one of the few sort of like brighter spots in this whole Square Enix showcase deal, which kind of makes me like, I know we kind of bounced back to something we talked about previously.
That's fine.
The Sony Independent showcase.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, I wonder if this is trying to serve the sort of same thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, let's just get all these announcements out that we would have had to spend time in a bigger show doing. And now we just kind of put it all here. This creates like a really great news dump. Get people talking about it. We'll cap it off with, you know, this big Avenger stuff and this, you know, this new IP and Outriders, which is taking off way harder than anyone could have anticipated. And like, we'll just sort of create a moment out of this so that way we can take the big, like, hit you in the gut, heavy hitter stuff and then put that. Now we don't have to take 40 minutes out of our, you know, next big show floor showcase thing to not talk about the next Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We very much spent probably more time on this than I thought, but that's okay. We talked about Avengers, and I know how much you and I played Avengers for a good minute, and then but
then we realized what we were doing with our lives.
I know, right? Oh my god. Oh, this is bad. Oh no. Oh man, I wanted to go ahead and max out my Thor, but then I was like, Anyway, let's move on. speaking of superheroes, we got another delay. So, from Gotham Knights on their official Twitter, Gotham Knights is now being delayed until 2022. It states that we are giving the game more time to deliver the best possible experience for players. Thank you to our amazing fans for your tremendous support for Gotham Knights. We look forward to showcasing more of the game in the upcoming months, which was shown off at DC. What was it? DC Fandom? Yeah, the DC Fandom.
DC Fandom.
God, that event was fun. But like this game is like Batman is Dead, so it's after the events of Arkham Knight, and you get to play as Nightwing, Robin, and Batgirl, and so on and so on. Like, it looks fun.
Red Hood.
Red Hood, yeah, there you go. So that's gonna be fun. So it's getting delayed. Let's move on.
Yeah, talk to your players. You see that? They were like, "Hey, we were going to be in direct competition with Marvel's Avengers. You watched Marvel's Avengers, absolutely crash and burn, and we're just going to not do that." So
exactly.
Good job, guys. In another year or two, we're going to go back in the oven.
I'm so okay with that. But speaking of another broken game, next topic is that Cyberpunk 2077 patch 1.2 has been released, and it has a handful of changes coming out. There's a huge post about it called "What's New in Night City," and it talks about this patch. So I have the article from IGN up to kind of break it down. So in the post, it says that 1.2 will adjust the time taken for police NPCs to respond to reported crimes. Before the patch, police would very quickly spawn in behind players and begin reacting to the situation, which broke immersion as was no sense of the police having to make their way to the scene. They just showed up. It also meant fleeing the scene before cops could arrive was difficult. A delay on the police's arrival, plus a new recon drone that assesses the situation ahead of the police turning up, would make this feel more realistic. In regards to driving, I had a problem with this. In regards to driving, a steering sensibility slider will be added to the options menu. Some players using keyboards or those who play at low frame rates have been having issues with keeping cars on the road, and the slider is designed to help combat that. Some individual cars may have had their handling tweaked, but the slider could hopefully have a positive effect overall to players who struggled with their car steering or oversteering. Additionally, should your car have steered into a situation where it has become beached on an object like a curb or bollard, the new update will allow you to rock the vehicle forward and backward as well rotate it in order to free the car from the obstacle. So once it's like before, if it was stuck there, you're just screwed. Now you can actually try to like veer it off.
Like fight it back.
Yeah. And then on foot, a tweak has also been made to movement controls. The patch will allow players to turn off the double tap movement keys to dodge. With this turned off, dodging is instead performed by double tapping crouch. This has been implemented to make moving WASD bindings the default PC movement keys. Oh, it's the letter keys instead of the. Yeah. I don't play PC, I play on console, so knows how much I know. Shows how much I know. Around the keyboard easier. Further key binding issues are planned to be addressed in a future patch. Currently, there's no release date. Oh, never mind. I was wrong. I thought it was coming out. Never mind. There is no release date for this patch, and CD Projekt Red are likely not going to provide one until they can say one with confidence. The patch has been delayed due to the recent cyber attack on the developer. We do know that the patch will be followed by multiple updates and improvements over the course of this year, thanks to the update roadmap, which is, I believe, the article or the what's new in Night City. Yeah, because this game was so bad, hackers went ahead and attacked it. So, God, Jesus Christ.
I was going to be like, if it's coming out, I'm happy for it. I'm glad that they managed to bounce back from that giant cyber attack where all their like source code got sold for millions of dollars.
Oh my God. Yeah. So
I'm glad that they're starting to like get back to it, you know, like that. Obviously that was a horrific event that happened. And I hope that everyone's, you know, put the proper protections in place, you know, to protect their like homes and families and assets and whatever may be potentially threatened by it. But like they're getting back to developing a video game, and that's kind of what CDPR kind of need right now.
Yeah,
Like,
they like.
it's like go back to making video games. Like I
Yeah.
feel like they just like there's a lot of goodwill with them, and I feel like they kind of like got swept up in it. Like sort of like a good guy Greg type of situation.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden like you're known for being this cool guy, and then it's like, all right, well, like is your craft suffering because you're trying to maintain optics? And I feel like that kind of happened a little bit.
I agree.
So, or a lot of it, given with how the state of the game when it came out.
Yeah,
But,
and as I said, I think Matt McMuscles on his episode of What Happened about this game, I think breaks this down like so well. And I'll even link that video in the description because I love it so much. It's very well done. Go watch it. It's fantastic. Whoo! All right, and that is all.
Matt McMuscles, yell it. Let me yell about Shadow Man with you.
Yeah, man. So that's all the news. But we have one more piece of news, and this is why you are here, Mark. Are you ready for our PlayStation conversation? Yeah. All right, let's begin. Let's go. This is our PlayStation conversation.
Woo!
PlayStation.
All
right, sweet.
So,
do you want to just take this? You can if you want. I'll let you take this if you want.
Oh yeah, dude. Let me go. I'm gonna get real in my bag.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and kind of introduce this, or do you want me to bring it up and then I'll just let you get free reign?
Oh yeah, well, like you introduce it and then I'll sort of pick up and
all
go
right
from there.
All right, so pretty much, I think the biggest news that has come out this week, I think this is just as big as Microsoft acquiring Bethesda. It's that Sony has now acquired EVO, which is the biggest fighting game tournament in the world. The Evolution.
The world.
Oh man, it's yes. So the Evolution Championship Series. They have acquired. So they put up on a post on the SIE blog. So it's not even on PlayStation. It's Sony Interactive Entertainment blog. This is how big this is.
Yep.
So they talk about how today we're thrilled. This is from the article. Quote, today we're thrilled to announce the next chapter in the story of PlayStation and EVO, the world's largest and longest running fighting game tournament. Sony Interactive Entertainment has teamed up with RTS to acquire EVO through a joint venture partnership. With expertise spanning esports event management, brand, and developer consulting and game talent management. RTS is a new venture led by CEO Stuart Saw and backed by investors including global entertainment, sports, and content company Endeavor. EVO co-founders Tom and Tony Cannon will remain closely involved in an advisory role to ensure EVO continues to service the fighting game community and support its vibrant growth. This partnership marks a new collaboration bringing together the resources and expertise that will allow us to elevate the global reach, scale, and fan engagement surrounding the iconic gaming tournament. The EVO Online kicks off in August, and this is now a new chapter for the esports journey. So pretty much to me, this is PlayStation very much saying that we are going into esports, and there is a message and stuff. I'm pretty sure that you have seen the letter from EVO.
Mm-hmm.
It states, "Do you want me to go over the letter, or do you want to go into this?"
Yeah, like I'm ready. I'm kicking to go, man.
All right, so pretty much, Sony has acquired EVO, the biggest fighting game tournament in the world. So that's why you're here, Mark. That's why I brought you here. So I'm glad you're here. So whenever you're ready,
fighting games a lot.
Whenever you're ready, my man.
So I'm very much so involved in the fighting game community avidly. I love it. They were the first video games I ever played. The first video game I ever played in my entire life was the first Tekken.
Oh wow!
Like it's spanned my entire life. So seeing this sort of move get made was a kind of a big deal for me, and I had a whole myriad of emotions. But I kind of settled on, a few core thoughts, and I think that I've been making some guesses as to what is going on sort of behind the scenes, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to feel like I'm right. Like, you ever like guess something, and then all of a sudden stuff starts happening, and you start to like your guess starts to get slowly validated.
Yeah, I
You're like,
do.
did I call this? Is this a greatest called shot in sports entertainment history?
Yes, it is.
uh,
It is credit call
so
shot.
uh, so when it comes down to it, man, I have this quote from uh, Tony Cannon, who is one of two twin brothers uh, uh, who also run and operate Evo and have done so for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
It's Tom being the other twin brother, are incredibly excited by the partnership with SIE and RTS. Both companies bring a wealth of experience and share our passion for what makes the fighting game community so great. I'd like to add, both companies bring a wealth of experience, and they also bring wealth. uh, we are looking forward to working with them to launch Evo to the next level while remaining true to our roots. Those being the words of Tony Cannon, one of the two twin brothers and venerated members of the FGC. Tony also being the developer for the GGPO middleware, also called Rollback Netcode, which is kind of like the code-based infrastructure that allows for people to play online fighting games against one another. He just
Mm-hmm.
made it in his spare time. He's like, man, laggy fighting games online suck. What if
Yeah.
I fixed it? And so he fixed it. Um, and so, like, seeing that sort of uh, stuff attached to him also being swept up in the Sony acquisition is really interesting to me, because like,
Mm-hmm.
will only Sony games be able to use rollback netcode now? Like wow, if that's the case, like, there's going to have to be entire restructurings as to how like online works for every other fighting game that isn't a Sony exclusive, that doesn't want to pay Sony to access it. I don't know how that's going to work, but it's really interesting to sort of think about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Sony Interactive Entertainment is like has completely bought out Evo, so it's not even like a partnership. Like, they just own it, and I
Oh
think
wow.
that, like, for as far as like the like sort of picking up of the veritable Super Bowl of fighting games, like the grand pappy of esports. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we wouldn't know what a big Fortnite tournament looks like
Yeah.
if it wasn't for Evo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that this is more than just a an acquisition of one thing flat. I feel like this is a very direct response to Microsoft directly. So like, you kind of covered that the Cannon brothers will continue to remain in overseeing operations
Which is good.
for the tournament,
Which is
which
good.
is very good. Uh,
Also,
but
I
like,
just want to
mhm,
quickly
yeah,
add that it has been stated that both Killer Instinct and Smash Brothers will still be part of Evo, even though Sony owns it. Those games are still part of Evo. I
yeah,
just want.
yeah, dude. The next sentence I was gonna say,
Oh, good stuff.
is will long-standing Sony exclusive, non-Sony exclusive games like Smash still make it in the tourney rotation? Yes, yes, they will. It would be stupid for Sony to say no, you can't do that.
Exactly.
Um, I'm of the belief that those looking at this purely through the lens of just, the fighting games involved are being kind of short-sighted.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is wholeheartedly just a huge balls move made in response to Microsoft purchasing Bethesda. Because it recently has started around the rumor mill that Microsoft is looking to purchase another company And this is all rumor, so take it all with a grain of salt.
Of course.
But it's gaining a bizarre amount of traction that Microsoft is trying or interested in buying Konami.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, so
So like Silent Hill and Metal Gear Solid. So like that has to spook, everyone at Sony, because it's like, whoa, this is an American company is being whispered by the internet to be interested in buying a major Japanese developer. Like that gives them a meaningful foothold in the gaming market in Japan, somewhere where Microsoft has consistently underperformed. Like, I believe that this acquisition is kind of twofold with Sony. I think there's a bigger play even happening past EVO. And if I can like put my spin around in my fancy chair in front of my imaginary mahogany desk and play internet executive, and tell you what I think my angle is on this is. I think this is a great publicity measure,
I agree.
saving this long-standing tourney, which just in the past year has suffered through a lot of really crazy stuff between scandals and investigations and just straight up COVID hitting it really hard, having to go online in the face of the pandemic and not having a super spreader event with thousands upon thousands of people piling into this giant convention center to play fighting games against one another. Only to have a whole bunch of really damning allegations about a bunch of Smash players, a former senior member in the leadership team at EVO who lost his job because it turns out that he was doing some not great stuff. And it was a PR nightmare. Video game developing, like the publishers for major fighting games were pulling out of the tournament. They were like, we don't want our game attached to this tournament with all the stink that's on it. And it was for the first time, and I don't even know, I think ever, EVO was canceled. Like it was just, we're not having it. And it was just a really bad place. I was just saying that like it was kind of fine. It's kind of found itself going the way of E3, like in the early parts of like where E3 was like not quite E3 anymore. Like EVO was kind of turning into that, where it's like floating glacially towards irrelevance, but just like kept alive by what it used to mean to people, like the cultural significance that it used
like
to have.
the branding, the name, like the name EVO very still much stands out, just like how E3, you watch E3 because it's E3, even though like, okay, I have to watch these four and then
oh yeah, Forza's gonna bring a car out onto the stage.
Oh my god!
To clap about.
Exactly, it's a Lego car. Like, oh my god!
So I think the Sony acquisition is in no uncertain terms like a giant needle shot of adrenaline in the heart of a dying rock star. Like EVO 2021 has been scheduled. All the major players in the fighting game community, between pundits and players and competitors and shoutcasters and analysts and all kinds of people, they're all abuzz online. And me personally, if I may say so, I finally, after all this time, sheltering at home, being safe, and protecting my loved ones from COVID by playing video games, will get a chance to make players around the world hold this M. Bison.
Yeah, let's go!
They don't have to hold these mix-ups. I cannot wait.
Take this L. Let me beat you with Bison. You know what that B means for Bison? Beaten. You're dead. I win. Bodied.
But jokes aside, it kind of dovetails into my second point, which I think is the second function of this buyout.
Ooh,
Microsoft is.
I think I know what. Can I predict what it is? Because I think you and I have the same thought.
No,
okay.
Hold on.
Go on.
Let me get to. You're probably right. but like,
Go ahead.
get to it.
Go ahead. Do your thing.
Is that if Microsoft is trying to drag publishers, is trying to drag Sony into a fight that's larger than two competing game boxes for sale, Sony is going to have to do the same thing, and they've skirted it by getting exclusive console rights to a pretty sizable fighting game, the best performing fighting game at EVO, the biggest publicity show for like any individual game or company. It's the show closer. It's the belle of the ball. It's Street Fighter.
Yeah.
I yelled about this to you in private and other friends in private, but I'm doing it on the internet now.
Let's go.
Street Fighter is a Capcom franchise, and if Sony wants to return salvo to Xbox, buying the Tower of Todd Howard, then acquiring Capcom is the only possible play.
Which is correct. Which is the correct play. Hey, yo, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this right now. So, hey, yo, you want to go ahead and get this good old Monster Hunter, this good old Monster Hunter PlayStation.
Yo,
people
man,
buy this on PlayStation. You want to go ahead and buy this freaking Devil May Cry? Here, wait. Here we go. PS5, bam! You buy Devil May Cry on PS5, on PS4, PlayStation. Here, you go ahead. Let's do this. Hold on. All right. I need to find this.
Yo, man, like you're getting the biggest fighting game on the planet, Street Fighter, the most iconic survival horror franchise on the planet, Resident Evil.
Oh my God.
You're getting Monster Hunter, which dips your pinky into some of that Nintendo money, because Monster Hunter and Nintendo handhelds have a long-standing relationship, and Monster Hunter Rise is cleaning up on the Switch right now. Not to mention, you start creating that sort of like Japanese company solidarity that forms mirroring the competition. An American company, Microsoft, bought an American publisher, Bethesda, and so like Sony will be doing the same thing, but with a Japanese company. And with the recent shakeup. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. All I was saying is that, like, remember back in 2016, I've talked about this E3, I don't know how many times, but this is my favorite E3. You and I actually watched it together at a movie theater, which was PlayStation Experience. I lost my mind over God of War because that opened. And then next, you lost your mind over Resident Evil 7, which then this game pretty much showed how the PSVR can be implemented as a legitimate VR console. As in, you can play Resident Evil 7 top to bottom, normal game or in VR, and it's fantastic either way. Which, like...
all the way around.
Like, it's fantastic. Like, it works.
And there have been all kinds of like crazy shakeups that have taken place inside of Capcom as well. That like if you look at like a lot of the stuff that's been happening, even just on I know we're talking specifically about EVO, but if we're just on the fighting game side, just like there have been changes up in the management and how the Capcom runs divisions, and like long-standing members, like Yoshinori Ono and like others are like now no longer in those roles, and the people who are there are younger and like they're more open and adventurous to doing other stuff, and they may not immediately turn away an offer that gets made by Sony, an offer that they kind of already have one foot in, especially after Sony saved its most notable source of publicity, because like EVO is like the big tournament. Yeah, there's other ones like Capcom Cup and other ones like that, but like EVO is, if you know about a fighting game, you probably know about EVO.
Exactly. So like,
this, in my humble opinion, like this I don't look at this as big as a step as Microsoft purchasing Bethesda. I think this is a first step in Sony courting Capcom. I think they're trying to get Capcom to go with them to prom, and like we're going to go, hey, I saved your biggest publicity show. Like
Yeah.
The biggest thing that drives eyes to your product was floundering and slowly, Titanic sinking. But I picked it back up, and you should listen to me now when I, whisper sweet nothings about, hey, maybe you should get all your developers and go first party with us. And if other like fighting game, developers who are also there, give them a little bit of side eye, maybe that Arxis, with that Guilty Gear Strive, and that Dragon Ball Fighter Z, or maybe Namco with Tekken, because they already have a relationship going between the two companies, that friendly competition. So if either of those are like, hey, maybe we might consider that something, then it can't really hurt. But like, you're just picking up Capcom. Like this is like the equivalent of like, I really want to impress this person that I'm going to go out on a date with. But I know that they really like this particular type of food. So instead of just trying to get them that particular type of food, I'm going to buy the restaurant.
Yeah, man.
So that way they can keep getting their favorite meal at that restaurant forever. Like, it's just like it's a big sort of like a big show play, I think. And that's why I think that it was done specifically by Sony Interactive Entertainment, and instead of just like the gaming division. So I think that
no, keep going.
I think that SIE is trying to make a response to go, hey, we are a tech company too. We make TVs, we make phones, we make cameras, we have all kinds of tech under our belt. So if you're going to try and drag us into more than a console fight, we can swing. And we are capable of hitting you back because you just acquired Elder Scrolls and Fallout as far as the layperson goes. Like, they're not necessarily going to go, hey, I'm really hyped for Wolfenstein and
Dishonored. Ooh,
so, but like when it comes down to Capcom, like every single title on it is like a household name.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that this is more so Sony Interactive Entertainment trying to make a positional play in a competition with Team Green to sort of put them back into a conversation that they've been steadily losing ground in, between like the Series X just being a flat out stronger piece of hardware, like just the numbers are bigger, and just the absolute majesty of a deal that's that Game Pass. Like, it just Game Pass gives consumers so much, and Sony has yet to have a meaningful answer to it. And they've just been behind the eight ball for a while now, and they're really going to have to start they were going to have to start letting their hands go, but they wanted to keep the fight between like the two companies in the gaming and tech spheres anywhere close to competitive. And I think that this is the first sort of dabbling their toes, like the big the showy first date, and Sony going, I want Capcom.
Yeah.
And if they can get it, I think that we're having a completely different conversation. And now Microsoft is going to have to seriously put some respect on Sony's name if they manage to pull it off. And I think that it's going to have to take to sort of keep the prom date metaphor going. Sony ain't easily impressed. Sony don't want no scrubs, or Capcom don't want no scrubs. So Sony is really gonna have to make sure that it like they step correct and really try to foster a meaningful, long-standing, helpful, and mutually beneficial relationship with Capcom if they want to get them to go first party. They've already kind of got to the doorway with Street Fighter going exclusive, a console exclusive with 5. So I'm very curious. I'm very intentful to watch how things are going to unfold with the two companies interacting. I want to see what Sony does on Capcom Cup. Are they going to start investing into that?
Yeah.
What other franchises? What other things? What other revenue streams that Capcom finds valuable that may be underperforming right now. Will Sony Interactive Entertainment just sort of come in and go, hey, hey, girl, hey, look, I fixed that for you. There you go. No big, just call me sometime. You know? I'm really interested to find out like what they as a company are going to do pushing forward because I feel it. To quote iconic Tekken player and a commentator, Eris at Avoiding the Puddle. I can feel it in my loins that Sony is going to buy Capcom.
So let's go over a few things. So actually, what's so surprising? I very much agree with you. This is very much a shot of Sony going, all right, you acquired Bethesda. And like, mind you, Microsoft has been going on a buying spree of all these studios because they don't have first parties. For the past decade, PlayStation has been killing it with their first party games. Since I believe it was like since 2016 or so or whatever, every single year at the Game Awards, a PlayStation exclusive has been nominated for Game of the Year, if not one. So, and Xbox hasn't even been able in the talk about that. So, them acquiring like Don't Nod and Ninja Theory, now they went, okay, now we got big guns. Bethesda. And Bethesda has always been buddies with them because, like, when Skyrim first came out, worked better on the 360 than it did on the PS3.
Mm-hmm.
You can get mods on the Xbox One, where on the PlayStation, it's a bit shite. Mind you, that's also a PlayStation thing, but there's also that kind of thing. But, like, you get my drift. Like, Microsoft very much likes Bethesda. Bethesda has very much liked that. So they were like, nope, this is ours now. And last week or the week before, Microsoft finalized the deal. And then a week later, Sony then goes, we bought EVO. We bought the biggest biggest fighting game tournament in the world. This is ours. And I very much do agree that this is PlayStation going, hey, yo, Capcom, hey, yo, girl,
Hey, yo,
girl. It's them going, you need to be join us, come to PlayStation. Because the thing is, like, Monster Hunter, like, all of the games, like, Street Fighter has been synonymous with PlayStation. Monster Hunter, Resident Evil, like, all the games, like, if you try to find, you can find more copies of the Capcom games on Xbox than you can on PlayStation. Meaning, like, there are less copies of those ready available because people buy them on PlayStation rather than on Xbox. And it makes total sense. And like I with going with the Game Pass talk that you mentioned, as I've talked before, like PlayStation has their own like streaming service, like the library of video games you can play called PlayStation Now, but they haven't been branding it because like you can get PlayStation Now for $10 right now, or $60 for a year. I think they're doing like promotions and stuff, and you get access to like PlayStation games, and you can download them. And there's PS3 games. Those are the only ones you have to stream. But PS4 games that you can play on your PS5 or PS4, you just download them to your hard drive, and then you play them just like Game Pass. Like they picked up moves from Microsoft to do that. So with Game Pass, I just think that Microsoft has done a much better job of going, you buy Game Pass. The reason you buy an Xbox, the reason
pioneering.
Oh
pioneering, just the innovation and just like, hey, let's take a subscription service and like get worth it. And see if people buy it. And then they did.
Oh no, but the reason why Now never worked is because you had to stream it instead of downloading it. The pricing was ridiculous. Like I think it was like $40 per month. It was ridiculous. I didn't understand it at all. So like PlayStation's done a lot of things that messed up with the Game Pass, but like them acquiring EVO, this is very much them going, because now we need to fight back. I think I saw I think Colin Moriarty at No Taxation on Twitter. I think he mentioned how the acquisition of Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda. That's 9 new studios to Microsoft. I believe that makes it 21, 22 versus PlayStation's 14 exclusive studios. Which that's a lot. That's huge. Like, now mind you, like, the thing is that Microsoft have been playing it very close to the chest about what, like, are Bethesda games going to be exclusive? Are they not? So on and so on. PlayStation, like, if it was the reverse, like, if PlayStation bought Bethesda, everyone would go, oh yeah, never going to see them on Xbox. They're straight up and down going to be PlayStation. Where I think with Microsoft on how PlayStation and Microsoft are playing 2 different games now, unlike last generation. This generation, they're playing 2 totally different games. And I think that's kind of what makes it very interesting, where Microsoft bought Bethesda, and people are going, are they going to be exclusive? Is Starfield going to be exclusive? Is Elder Scrolls 6 going to be exclusive? Is the next Fallout going to be exclusive? And so on and so on and so on. And I think the thing is, I think PlayStation was trying to court them. Maybe PlayStation was trying to court them too with Deathloop. Deathloop is a timed exclusive on PS5, so it comes out to PS5 first, then it comes out to to Xbox later.
It's like now you're watching, like, it felt like the console wars of like the PS3 and the 360 and like everything before this. It felt like you were watching, like these 2 giant robots fighting, and then you realize, like, with how things are happening with the PS5 and the Series X and Sony Interactive, Microsoft, is that, like, those 2 robots that you saw with these 2 giant forces, some Pacific Rim crazy stuff happening, were actually just rock'em sock'em robots, and you pan the camera back, there's even bigger things happening. That you're just like, what? I didn't even see all that stuff in the background. So
I know, right?
There's just completely different moves being made. And I'm really here for it. These sort of corporate entities that represent these companies are now taking shots at one another and trying to create a sense of value and excitement around the product. And I think that competition will ultimately help things go forward.
Yeah.
Because, like, Street Fighter 5 and with Capcom specifically, like, the last sort of like Street Fighter 5 had a really rough launch and sort of had to fight its way back over time. Resident Evil had a great launch. And Monster Hunter World was universally celebrated. So, like, now, like, you're sort of catching Capcom on this, like, incline.
Not only that, I apologize to interrupt, but Devil May Cry 5 also fantastic, because before that it was DMC.
Celebrate.
So we for the year 2019, we gave that game of the year, like, on the Brotherhood of Geeks. That was 2019's game of the year. So, like, look at all these games that, like, Capcom has fixed.
Capcom is, they're just, like, on this incline. They're, like, they're climbing back up the mountain. And so Sony is just up there, and they, like, reach a hand down and help Capcom, hit that mountaintop again. Then, like, I don't know, maybe Capcom will feel like they have some sort of, debt to them. They go, hey, you really believe in what we're doing, and they'll be okay with, going first party. But I've been saying it forever. Sony buy Capcom. It's the first, most impressive, showy opening step. Buy Capcom. I bought a PlayStation 4 to play Street Fighter 5. I didn't know what else was going to be on the system. I worked in a GameStop at the time. I didn't care. I'm here for Street Fighter 5. You are getting my money. Here's $400 or $500 because I want to play Street Fighter. So, when it comes down to it, man, people are going to go to you to get these games because the fighting game community is so fervent and so direct and so in love with, these games, that we're going to go where they are. And so like you're creating a win-win scenario for yourself. You're getting this really fervent, very dedicated, long-suffering fan, and you're picking up several Game of the Year nominees, if not Game of the Year winners, in the process to suddenly now be first party.
Yeah.
It's the only move that makes sense. So that's what I think was going on behind the scenes with this whole deal. Like I almost like looked past them purchasing EVO. Like EVO won't change. Like I wasn't when I saw the news, I was like, oh, it's gonna be the same tournament. The Sony's gonna put money on it. They're gonna put their logo on a few of the standees, maybe on a Titantron in the back, and then keep it moving. But what is Sony trying? How is Sony trying to position themselves? And that's why I was asking that question. Sort of dovetailed into me asking, what the indie showcase and the Squeenix showcase, and what now these companies are starting to use these events as sort of positional angles in terms of the corporate line instead of just hey, we need to shovel this video game out by this time of year, or make sure we hit this deadline or whatever. Now it's being used as a maneuver for the greater corporate entities that create and release these games instead of just the developers and the publishers. I think that's something.
Mm-hmm. What I was going to say is that the other corporate line that I kind of been seeing that PlayStation is going with is that instead of just we're going to buy new studios, we're going to buy like how Xbox they went, we're going to buy Donut, we're going to buy Double Fine, we're going to buy Ninja Theory, we're going to buy Bethesda, we're going to buy Obsidian. Like these are ours now. What PlayStation has been doing is that they've been like, hey, Square Enix, we're buddies, right? Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, yeah. Give us we'll make a contract. Give us something special for Marvel's Avengers. And again, people were pissed off that Spider-Man is exclusive, but I'm like, that makes sense. Mind you, Sony Spider-Man stuff. Mind you, if Avengers was good, but anyway, Final Fantasy VII Remake, PlayStation, Kingdom Hearts, the entire Kingdom Hearts series has been on PlayStation, and then it's only been until recently that Xbox finally got I think they got a complete story, but I think or maybe they only have 3, but you can play the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise on PlayStation. What I'm getting at is that PlayStation has been going, hey, third parties, give us exclusive things. Give us an exclusive thing, like their partnership with Activision. Crash Bandicoot would have never existed if that partnership didn't happen. And then Sony went, you need to bring back Crash. You need to do that. And because Activision owns the right to Crash Bandicoot, you got the Insane Trilogy. They went, fine, here you go, Vicarious Visions, make this game, who cares? They didn't care if it made money or not. And then all of a sudden, it made money. And they were like, oh, Crash 4, here we go. Make a CTR before you do that. And so on and so on and so on and so on. I think PlayStation is going third parties, let's partner up. Let's be buddy-buddy. While it seems that kind of Xbox is kind of hunkering down and going, this is ours now, we're buying this, we're buying that, going on a shopping spree. And mind you, it makes sense because the one problem that everyone yells at Xbox is that you don't have exclusives. Why should I buy your console? Where are your exclusives? What makes you different from PlayStation? While PlayStation, I'm like, well, I'm going to buy a PlayStation for God of War and Horizon Forbidden West and Ghost of Tsushima 2 and Marvel Spider-Man 2 and the next Last of Us. And so on, and the next Uncharted, and the list can go on.
But I think the answer that sort of formed as Microsoft puffed its chest out is hey, we own Windows. Look at the 1,000,003 different ways you can access your game versus the one way you can do on a PlayStation. And that's the one sort of thing now that I think that having that fight was costing Microsoft a lot because I think that people weren't sort of viewing at it from that larger lens. So they were like, okay, well, all that stuff stays true, but now also we have first party, and we have first parties you care about, immediately care about.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to find out what Sony is going to do now that they sort of like not just lost one like little foothold, but also like lost miles, where it's like, oh, this one thing that people were ignoring, they're now paying attention. And also the one victory that we had unequivocally that was evening the playing field, that's on shaky ground. So I'm once again, man, I want to see Sony gaming phones. I want to see Sony gaming monitors. I want to see Sony gaming TVs. I want to see like not just the TV with a gaming mode, but like a Sony built for high refresh rate game hardware. I want to start seeing them flex as a tech company alongside picking up first party developers. Which the first one, Capcom. Buy Capcom.
Buy Capcom.
Buy.
Just do it.
Mr. Shuhei Yamashita. If you hear me now, I don't know who gave this to you, but pay that man. Buy Capcom.
Buy Capcom. Buy Capcom.
So like that's the only play. But yeah, man, I'm very curious to find out how things are going to work, and how things are going to trickle down.
I agree. I am excited too. And talking about becoming a tech company. I mean, for me, I think one last thing before we end this is that you were talking about how Microsoft has the Play Anywhere initiative where you can play on PC and Xbox, and me and Spectre have talked about how that doesn't make. Why should I buy an Xbox console where I can play it on PC? And now, mind you, Spectre very much plays on PC. I'm a console guy. I have a Series X, I have a PS5, I have an Xbox One, I have a PS4. I prefer to play on console, but it is one of those things where I'm like, but I could play on PC. I do have a gaming PC if I wanted to. And it kind of gives you like, why should I get that? Where like I need this piece of hardware in order to play God of War, where unlike with Microsoft, where it's like you can play Gears on Steam or Xbox, you can play Halo on Steam or Xbox, or so on and so on. So, and I think that's a discussion for another time because we've already gone long enough as it is. But
we've gone quite a while.
I think it's worth it. I very much think this is worth it. But just to kind of close this out is that. As I said, they're playing two different games now. The Play Anywhere initiative allows Microsoft to be like, oh, you can play, you have freedom of choice, Game Pass, and all these things. And we have a controller that's built for people with disabilities, which I think is the coolest thing ever. And look, like, we're on a PlayStation podcast. I'm a PlayStation fan, but I'm not going to go ahead and say that Xbox is bad or not, because it's great. And I think it's exciting for all of these companies that Xbox bought out. I'm like, oh my God, I may want to play Xbox more. Who knows? But like, I very much agree that PlayStation now needs to go ahead and swing back at Microsoft and go, okay, you bought Bethesda, which is like the biggest American, like Western, like RPG developer, like Skyrim, Oblivion, Fallout, Wolfenstein, Dishonored, so on and so on, so on. Like
Doom,
like Doom Eternal, okay, like Game of the Year nominee, like. They're owned by Microsoft now. And now, like, I mean, when I found out that PlayStation bought out Insomniac, which, mind you, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. They've done Ratchet and Clank. But it's really like Spider-Man. They're like, oh, no. You guys, you're with us now. You're ours. Which was great. But I believe that they very much need to go. Capcom, you guys, ours now. And like, it's already like a given. Monster Hunter, Devil May Cry, those are PlayStation games. I think PlayStation when I think of those games. I don't think Xbox. Not even like Resident Evil, like those, like there's just a massive history with Capcom and PlayStation. And I'm curious, was Capcom and the Street Fighter franchise in trouble when Street Fighter V was an exclusive for PlayStation? Was that kind of like PlayStation saving Street Fighter, kind of like how Nintendo saved Bayonetta. Bayonetta 2 exists because Nintendo was like, make a sequel.
Not so much. That happened with the previous game, and that wasn't exclusive. Because Street Fighter 3 had like this really long lull between that and Street Fighter 4. When the Street Fighter 4 was like a big revitalization. The problem was everyone had kind of coasted, like rode really high on Street Fighter 4. So when 5 came around, it had a very underwhelming launch. And it wasn't feature complete, and there was a whole lot of the jank happening, and it really put the game behind the 8 ball. And they're like, dang, these fighting games, regardless of how big the names are, they really live on an installation to installation process. Soul Calibur. If one Soul Calibur game doesn't sell well, you might not ever get a Soul Calibur game.
True. You're not wrong. True. Soul Calibur 5 almost killed the franchise. Soul Calibur 5 almost killed it.
Almost.
Thank God 6 is amazing. Thank God 6 is absolutely amazing.
It's the same way with every single one of these games. So it's like, if the newest one you put out doesn't land, we might not get a chance to make another one. So these games have to be consistently incredible. So and if something isn't that, the alarm bells go off, because you're just like, if Street Fighter 5 flops, we may not get a Street Fighter again, and that's depressing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
When it came down to it, Sony really stepped up and was like, yo, here, let's have you guys, make this game. And I think Sony was also going, boy, howdy did Street Fighter 4 make a whole bunch of money. And they also made it on the Xbox, but we could have all that money here. So I think Street Fighter 5 was getting made regardless of the exclusivity. Pardon me, but it's just like they really sort of stepped in and created an avenue for that game to really thrive and shine and evolve with the freedom to do so into something that is just as sort of culturally important within the fighting game community. As like a Street Fighter 4, that was a big revitalization, kind of soft reboot of the franchise,
Yeah, I did. I think that's it. I very much am extremely excited to see where all this goes. And as one last thing before we go, buy Capcom.
Hashtag Sony buy Capcom.
Buy Capcom. Buy Capcom. Do it. Anyway. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Please go ahead and let us know what you guys think. If you agree with Marq's big, huge idea, and I very much agree with this this theory that Sony is trying to court Capcom by buying EVO. I very much.
Girl.
Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Hey, yo, Capcom! Hey, yo, come! Hey, yo, come! Yo, come! Yo, come! You got the Resident Evil. You got the DMC. Yo, man. You should come over to my place and we can hang and
call me sometime.
Call me. So anyway,
Yeah.
But guys, please let us know what you guys think and everything. But that is everything. This has been a long episode. I think this is the longest episode that we have ever done on this show. So thank you, Marq.
Hey, no problem.
So guys, if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell everybody you know. Tell everyone you don't know. Tell the entire universe about the Brotherhood of Geeks. Also, go ahead and press that bell icon. That way, whenever we put up a video, we put up a video. You can also go ahead and follow us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/The Brotherhood of Geeks. You can also follow us on Twitter at Dualshock'd BOG. That's the name of this PlayStation podcast, Dualshock'd, BOG. And then you can also follow us on Twitch when we stream at twitch.tv/Brotherhood of Geeks. And Mark, is there any places that people can find you or get in contact with you? Any, like, go ahead and plug your stuff.
Well, I'm actually going to be doing a lot more content on the Brotherhood of Geeks. So if you show up, you're gonna run into me.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Dude, like I'm really excited about it, man. I had a blast doing this, and I know that you and I have been talking about this in private. Where it's like, hey, dude, like you were kind of like one of the first guys to sit down and want to do this with me. So like you should come back. And I was like, hey, I got time.
Yeah,
that's kind of oxymoronic. I just had a kid, and I'm like, no, I got all the time in the world. But I'm really pumped about joining the team again and helping to turn this channel into something really big and really great. And so as more stuff rolls out, you'll be able to hear it out of the horse's mouth, man. I'm here, and I'm here, I'm queer, and I'm having a great time.
Awesome. Well, I'm honestly so happy that you're here on the show, because I know you and I for years have been talking about this, and we have done a lot of done a lot of things and try to get this started and stuff. And I'm very glad that you are here on the show, and I very much am excited to see you either back on Dualshock'd, or maybe there'll be a new show that'll just be me and Mark. And but I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you want to do more on the Brotherhood, because I'm excited for that. I'm excited for you. I mean, if you want to go ahead and plug like your Twitter or anything, I don't know if you have a Twitter or not. If people want to get in contact with you, or
I do. If you wanna follow me for my goofy takes on like fighting games and films, I change my Twitter handle like every 30 minutes. But at right now it's at Daddio the Dude. So like if you look, it's just DADDIOTHEDUDE, all one like word, no spaces. You'll see a goofy picture. Should be the picture that's like up on like my little partition of the screen right now.
Right over there.
Both my forehead and my dreadlock. But yeah, you can follow me there, and I'll be ranting about whatever takes my fancy. And yeah, man, and I yell about wrestling and video games and economics and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, man.
So comics, you can feel free to follow me there, and say hi. And yeah, man, I'm look forward to talking.
Yeah, man. And you are always more than welcome to come back on to Dualshock'd, dude, if you want. But I'm very glad that you were here to talk about this very big news about PlayStation acquiring EVO, because I very much knew that you knew more about this than myself or Spectre knew of. So I very much wanted someone who's an expert in this. So I'm glad that you are here, and I very much am excited to bring you, to have you more on this show or on other videos and everything like that.
Woo!
Alrighty then. Well, that is everything.
Man.
Yeah, of course. You are so welcome, my man. You are so welcome then. Alrighty then. So then, with all of that being said, I'm Brett J. Rasmussen.
And I'm Marq.
Yeah! And as always, live to play together. We'll see you guys next time.
See you guys next time.